So there was a press conference today, and I've not been able to stop thinking about it because I'm fuming. I'm absolutely fuming. Siobhan White lost her daughter Rhiannon, stabbed 23 times at a train station in Walsall on her way home from a night shift. She was 27. She had a young son. The man convicted of her had arrived in the UK 3 months earlier on a small boat from Sudan, via Italy, via Germany, via Libya, and was housed in the same hotel where Rhiannon worked. Siobhan's grief is real, her anger is real, and her demand that something changes is completely legitimate. She's a mother who lost her child in the most brutal, senseless way imaginable, and she deserves to be heard. What she doesn't deserve is to be used. And today, she sat at a table next to Nigel Farage.
Yeah, Rhiannon was stabbed October 24 by a migrant who had been in this country 11 weeks. He had fled North Sudan for his own safety, apparently. We didn't know, Rhiannon didn't know him. She just worked in a hotel where she looked after them, basically. He took Rhiannon's life in 90 seconds. Stabbed her through the main brainstem, basically, was the main place that he killed her. He has never shown any remorse. He called forensics liars. He just didn't care. He wouldn't tell us why. He just denied everything. So we've had to live with that why. Her little boy's been left without a mum. My children have been left without their sister, and I've lost my daughter. For these scumbags that are allowed into this country illegally, so yeah, something needs to be done.
She spoke. He did his nodding and repeated her words back to the cameras. Who's next? And then, with a fairly seamless gear change, he was on to council election candidates and cold-calling members in the West Midlands.
What I can also tell you is that the other party, I mean, the Labour Party have actually been advertising online for candidates in the northeast of England.
I've seen this before. Literally seen exactly this, the exact press conference before.
The immense courage that it takes for Ellie to come here and to do this today. Ellie.
Do you need to start that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello. First of all, I think the inquiry that was set up, it was a mess from the start. When I joined the panel, we knew from the get-go that it was messy. It was a very controlling, it was very gaslighting, manipulative, and we all went on to do the right thing, and that was to seek justice, that was to find the truth, to not be silenced anymore, and to be able to help our future. And we look at our future generations in this as well, because not only are we about ourselves, but we're also about the present victims and the victims that can occur if this shambles continues. The way that we were spoken to was very degrading. It was very controlling. Seek support from family members. We weren't allowed to seek support from each and every survivor on the panel. Typically, you find with survivors is that they will confide in each other because we have been through near enough the same thing. So that is the better way that we can seek support. That was taken from us.
In October of 2025, Farage stood at another podium and introduced Ellie Reynolds, a grooming gang survivor who had withdrawn from the government's inquiry because she felt it was rigged. She was extraordinary. She spoke about being gaslit, about silenced, being controlled. And she said the things that the establishment had been hoping nobody would say. Farage called her immensely courageous. He nodded and again spoke her words back to her, but then he made a series of very specific promises.
I will be, with my colleagues, meeting the Speaker this evening. I will put these points to him. I know that he himself is very keen to re-establish Parliament at the centre of our national debate in this country. And I will tomorrow write to Dame Karen Bradley, the chair of the Home Affairs Committee, suggesting a subcommittee is set up.
He was going to see the Speaker of the House of Commons that evening. He would write to Karen Brady, the chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee, the next morning. Parliament would become a court. It would all happen, in his words, well before Christmas.
It will take many weeks. It might take a couple of months, but so be it.
So let's see how that went. He did speak to the Speaker. The meeting was described as constructive. Lindsay Hoyle, whose role is more procedural, not executive, can't override a government inquiry on his own. The Parliamentary Commission never materialised. The cross-party support it required didn't come. And the official inquiry that Farage stood at that podium and called dead in the water?
This inquiry is dead in the water. Nearly 5 months have gone by, and what has happened? Nothing.
It's been relaunched with a new chair. It formally opens on April 13th, this week. The inquiry he wanted scrapped is the inquiry that's happening. The parliamentary alternative he promised survivors didn't exist by Christmas, or January, or March. And Ellie Reynolds, who sat with him at that desk and spoke with genuine courage about everything she'd been through, she got none of what he promised her. 5 months later, Farage is at another desk, another victim, but it's the same performance. Now, here's the part of today's press conference that I really need you to pay attention to because it gets buried under all the emotion, and it absolutely shouldn't. Siobhan White pointed out that the man who killed Rhiannon was passed through Germany and Italy before arriving in the UK. She asked why that didn't stop him from being able to claim asylum here.
Ultimately get waved through the refugee system, even though they get refused in Germany and other countries like that from certain locations. They then go to the top of the social housing list. And I think this really is what Siobhan's referring to.
Well, it is,
Just
because,
about.
I mean, the scumbag that killed Rhiannon, he was denied asylum in Germany and Italy.
Yeah.
And we don't know why, but he managed to get into France and come here.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah, yeah.
And that is a completely fair question. And there's a real answer to it. Before Brexit, the UK was part of something called the Dublin Regulation. What it established broadly was that the asylum seekers who had to claim asylum in the first safe country that they'd reach. So every time you see the Conservatives banging on them going through safe countries, it's them that took that away. If you've been through Germany, if Germany had a record of you, you couldn't just arrive in the UK and start fresh. There was a framework that linked those records across countries and created the basis for returns. The UK left that framework in December of 2020. Nigel Farage spent years making that happen. The killer arrived in the UK on July the 29th, 2024. He had passed through Italy and Germany before getting here. Under the old arrangement, those records mattered. Under the arrangement Farage campaigned to dismantle, they didn't. He arrived in the UK and was able to claim asylum as though the rest of Europe had never seen him. And I want to be precise, the Dublin regulation wouldn't have been a guaranteed barrier. It's not a magic wall, but it was a mechanism, a legal framework under which a person with a record in Germany could potentially be returned there. Farage helped remove that framework. And today he sat next to a grieving mother and let the cameras imply the people responsible for its absence were the ones who didn't rebuild it in 5 minutes. There's another thing as well. At the press conference, Siobhan blamed Keir Starmer. You can hear her voice that she genuinely believes it, and Farage is very careful not to correct her.
And so I personally blame the government. I think you feel the same way, don't you?
Starmer and the government, yeah.
Yeah, well, you couldn't get a clearer answer than that.
The killer crossed the English Channel on July the 29th, 2024. Keir Starmer became Prime Minister on July the 5th. That's 24 days. The conditions that allowed that killer to arrive, the years of asylum backlog, the processing failures, the boat crossings that by that point numbered in the hundreds of thousands, were built across years of Conservative government. Government that Farage spent a decade dragging further to the right, with full credit claimed every time they copied him. The idea that Starmer built the environment that this killer exploited in 3 weeks is not a serious argument. Farage knows that, which is why he doesn't make it directly. He just platforms Siobhan making it, nods and moves on to the next question. That's the thing about this technique. You don't have to say the dishonest thing yourself. You just provide the platform, the podium, the cameras and the moment, and you let somebody else's grief do the work. Siobhan White wants someone to listen. someone with reach, someone who will take her anger seriously and actually do something with it. Farage showed up, he listened, he nodded. But maybe we should ask Ellie Reynolds how that tends to go.